Amanda adjusted the folder in her hands as Daniel Mercer closed the conference room door behind her. He didn't invite her to sit. Instead, he remained standing with one hand in his pocket, glancing at his phone before finally looking up. "I'm just going to be direct," he said. "You're not the right fit for the promotion." Amanda blinked once. "I'm sorry?" "You deliver excellent work," Daniel continued casually. "But leadership is about more than numbers. It takes executive presence, strategic instincts. You're dependable, just not ready." She stared at him, waiting for something concrete. "What exactly am I missing?" she asked. Daniel shrugged. "It's hard to explain. Sometimes you just know." 5 minutes later, she stepped into the hallway just as applause erupted from the conference room next door. "Congratulations, Ryan." A younger analyst with barely 2 years at the company stood grinning as executives shook his hand. Amanda had trained him herself. One coworker lowered her eyes as Amanda walked past. "I honestly thought it was going to be you," she whispered. Amanda smiled politely. "So did I." She picked up her purse, wished everyone a pleasant afternoon, and left without another word. The drive home was unusually quiet. No angry phone calls. No tears. No dramatic resignation. Just the steady hum of her car as she pulled into her driveway. Inside, Amanda opened her laptop and stared at the email she'd written 3 nights earlier. Subject: Formal resignation. Attached was the signed offer letter from another company, a senior leadership position, better salary, better benefits, a team she'd already met twice. Her cursor hovered over send. Daniel's words echoed again. "You're not the right fit." Amanda slowly closed the email. Then she deleted the scheduled delivery entirely. "No," she whispered to herself. "Not yet." She shut the laptop. The resignation would never reach HR. Back at the office the next morning, Daniel noticed Amanda sitting at her desk exactly on time. He smiled to himself. He'd been expecting an emotional resignation. Instead, she'd come back. Exactly as he predicted. During the department meeting, he assigned Amanda 3 additional projects. "I know this is a lot," he said with a practiced smile, "but I think this is a good opportunity for you to continue developing." Ryan looked uncomfortable. Everyone in the room knew Amanda already carried the department. She simply nodded. "I'll have them finished by Friday." Daniel left the meeting convinced he'd won. Amanda wasn't leaving. She'd accepted her place. At least, that's what he believed. That evening, Amanda received another email from the company that had recruited her. "We're ready whenever you are. The executive position remains yours if you still want it." She read the message twice. Instead of accepting, she replied with only one sentence. "Please give me a little more time." She closed her laptop before anyone else in the house could ask what she was doing. 2 days later, she woke to her phone vibrating nonstop across the nightstand. Missed call, missed call, missed call. Daniel, HR, Vice President of Operations, unknown number, Chief Financial Officer. By the time she unlocked the screen, there were 91 missed calls. Amanda quietly placed the phone back on the table. Something had happened inside the company, and somehow, everyone suddenly needed her. Amanda walked into the office carrying her coffee, as though nothing had changed. Several heads turned. Some looked sympathetic, others looked relieved she hadn't disappeared overnight. Ryan caught up with her near the elevators. "Amanda, about the promotion." She smiled before he could finish. "You earned what they gave you." His shoulders dropped. "I don't think I did." Before Amanda could respond, Daniel stepped out of his office. "Morning, everyone." He looked directly at Amanda. "My office, 5 minutes." Daniel didn't bother pretending to be encouraging. "I've been thinking," he said, sliding a stack of folders across his desk. "If you really want to prove you're ready someday, I'd like you to take ownership of these." Amanda glanced down. 3 major operational projects. Each belonged to different department managers. This is already more work than my current responsibilities. I know, Daniel smiled. Leadership requires sacrifice. Amanda nodded once. I'll get started. As she walked out, Daniel leaned back in his chair. Exactly what he wanted. She had accepted more responsibility without receiving a single additional dollar. The workload spread through the office almost immediately. During lunch, Amanda's longtime coworker Melissa quietly sat across from her. I have to ask. Amanda looked up. Weren't you planning to leave if they passed you over? Amanda stirred her coffee. I changed my mind. Melissa frowned. That doesn't sound like you. Amanda only smiled. Sometimes staying tells you more than leaving. Melissa clearly didn't understand, but she let the subject drop. The rumors started before the end of the week. Maybe Daniel was right. I heard she froze during the interview. Maybe she just isn't management material. Amanda heard nearly every version while walking between meetings. She never corrected anyone. Instead, she continued solving problems no one else could solve. When software failed, people called Amanda. When clients demanded answers, they called Amanda. When another department missed deadlines, Daniel sent Amanda to fix them. By Friday afternoon, she had quietly rescued 4 different projects. None of it appeared in company announcements. During the weekly leadership meeting, Daniel stood beside a presentation screen. I'd like everyone to recognize Ryan for stepping into his new leadership role. Applause filled the room. Then Daniel gestured toward Amanda. And Amanda continues to demonstrate exceptional loyalty by supporting the entire department. Several managers exchanged puzzled looks. One executive interrupted. Daniel, remind me, how long has Amanda been here? 8 years. And she's never been promoted into management? Daniel answered too quickly. We're developing her. Amanda noticed the executive studying Daniel instead of her. It was only a brief moment, but something had changed. For the first time, someone higher up seemed unconvinced. That evening, Amanda arrived home to another email from the competing company. We understand your decision to wait. Your executive director position remains reserved. Let us know when you're ready. She read it carefully before typing a short reply. Thank you. Please keep everything confidential a little longer. She pressed send. Then she opened a notebook. Across the first page, she wrote one sentence. Every assignment, every conversation, every decision. From that night forward, she documented everything. Every project Daniel shifted onto her. Every meeting where he took credit. Every explanation that contradicted her performance reviews. She wasn't collecting evidence for revenge. She was preserving the truth. Late Friday evening, Amanda packed her laptop as the office emptied. Daniel passed her desk, stopped, and folded his arms. A satisfied smile spread across his face. You know, he said, I was wondering if you'd eventually realize it. Amanda looked up calmly. Realize what? He chuckled. Deep down, you knew I was right. Amanda simply wished him a good weekend. Daniel walked away believing the conversation was over. He never noticed Amanda quietly saving one final document before shutting down her computer. Monday morning began with a company-wide email that stopped every conversation before the first meeting even started. Mandatory executive briefing, 9 a.m., attendance required. Employees filled the conference room, whispering to one another. What could this be? I heard we're buying another company. No, I heard we're being bought. Amanda quietly took a seat near the back. Daniel stood confidently near the front, smiling as though nothing could surprise him. The chief executive officer stepped onto the stage. I'll get straight to the point, she announced. We're entering final negotiations for a merger with our largest competitor. The room erupted. Questions flew from every direction. What happens to our jobs? Will departments be merged? Who's leading integration? The CEO raised a hand. We'll need complete operational reports from every division within 72 hours. Daniel immediately stood. My department is ready. Amanda looked toward him but said nothing. The confidence Daniel displayed lasted less than an hour. During an emergency executive meeting, department heads gathered around a massive conference table, while Amanda quietly operated the presentation screens from the side. The chief operating officer flipped through a thick report. Daniel. Yes? According to these documents, Amanda designed this workflow? Yes? And she built this reporting system? She assisted. Another executive looked up. She also trained Ryan? Daniel hesitated. She helped with onboarding. The room grew noticeably quieter. The COO continued turning pages. She also created the client recovery protocol, updated inventory forecasting, standardized operations across 3 regions. He slowly removed his glasses. If Amanda built nearly every critical process in this department, why isn't she one of your managers? Daniel forced a smile. Technical excellence doesn't automatically translate into leadership. Amanda kept her expression neutral. Across the table, several executives exchanged uncertain looks. The explanation sounded weaker the second time. The questions didn't stop there. One vice president leaned forward. Who handles operations whenever you're unavailable? Daniel answered quietly. Amanda. And who trains every new supervisor? Amanda. And who resolves executive escalations? Daniel paused. Amanda. The vice president folded his hands. So let me understand this. The employee you trust with every major responsibility is somehow not qualified to supervise people? No one spoke. Ryan shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Several department managers avoided looking at Daniel altogether. For the first time, the narrative Daniel had spent years controlling began falling apart in public. After the meeting, conversations spread across every floor. Employees gathered outside conference rooms, in break areas, near elevators. Something doesn't add up. I thought Amanda was underperforming. Underperforming? Apparently, she runs half the department. Rumors changed direction almost overnight. People who had questioned Amanda's abilities now questioned Daniel's judgment instead. Amanda never corrected anyone. She simply returned to her desk and continued working. Her silence made everyone even more curious. That afternoon, Human Resources requested copies of every promotion evaluation completed during the past 3 years. Daniel read the email twice. His smile disappeared. He hurried into HR carrying a stack of files. Inside the office, an HR director compared Amanda's written evaluations against company performance metrics. The numbers didn't match. Performance scores showed Amanda consistently ranked at the top of the organization. Daniel's comments described her as lacking leadership potential. The HR director frowned. Can you explain these contradictions? Daniel shifted in his chair. Leadership is subjective. She looked back down at the reports. So are these comments your opinion? Or are they supported by documented evidence? Daniel had no immediate answer. Later that evening, another executive stopped beside Amanda's desk. I've reviewed your record. Amanda looked up. Yes? I wasn't aware you'd received multiple external leadership offers over the past 2 years. She smiled politely. I've been fortunate. He nodded thoughtfully. If you're considering making another move, I'd appreciate the opportunity to speak with you first. Amanda simply thanked him. She offered nothing more. The less she explained, the more executives wanted answers. Daniel watched the exchange from the glass wall of his office. A knot formed in his stomach. For years, he had controlled Amanda's future with a single performance review. Now senior leadership was speaking directly to her without including him. He hurried downstairs and caught Amanda just as she reached the parking garage. Amanda? She stopped. He approached much faster than his usual calm pace. I need you to answer one question. She waited. His voice dropped. Have you been talking to our competitor? Amanda looked at Daniel for several seconds before answering. I don't think that's any of your business. She stepped around him and walked to her car. Daniel stood frozen in the parking garage. For the first time since becoming her manager, he had absolutely no control over the conversation. The next morning, corporate compliance arrived without warning. 3 people wearing visitor badges entered the executive floor carrying laptops and sealed folders. By noon, everyone knew something unusual was happening. Managers were being called into private conference rooms, one after another. HR requested copies of promotion recommendations, salary approvals, project assignments, and performance evaluations covering the previous several years. The investigation wasn't focused on one promotion anymore. It was examining a pattern. Amanda quietly continued working. She answered only the questions investigators asked and supplied documentation when requested. Nothing more, nothing less. As investigators interviewed employees, a troubling pattern began to emerge. One senior analyst admitted she had been told she was too valuable where she was after applying for management. Another employee revealed Daniel had discouraged him from accepting an internal transfer because the department couldn't afford to lose him. A third confessed he had simply stopped applying for promotions altogether. I figured there was no point. Each statement sounded different. Each described the same behavior. Daniel wasn't developing talented employees. He was trapping them. HR compared Amanda's annual evaluations with measurable company data. The results were impossible to ignore. Every year she ranked among the department's highest performers. She consistently exceeded productivity targets. She trained new supervisors. She handled executive escalations. She rescued failing projects. Yet every promotion recommendation contained nearly identical language. Not quite ready. Needs more executive maturity. Excellent contributor, but limited leadership potential. One investigator frowned. These comments don't match the performance metrics. Another opened Daniel's internal management emails. Within minutes, the room became silent. There it was. A message Daniel had sent to another manager months earlier. Amanda is too valuable to lose in operations. If she gets promoted, we'll spend a year replacing her output. Better to keep developing her where she is. The investigator slowly turned the screen toward HR. So he knew. Word spread quickly that Daniel had been removed from several executive planning meetings. Instead, Amanda received invitations. The merger team wanted operational insight that only she possessed. She walked into conference rooms where executives who had barely spoken to her before now asked detailed questions. How long would system integration take? What risks are we missing? If departments combine, what fails first? Amanda answered every question calmly. No exaggeration, no bitterness, just facts. The executives listened carefully. Daniel wasn't invited. Meanwhile, Ryan struggled in his new management position. Without Amanda quietly solving problems behind the scenes, deadlines slipped almost immediately. Clients complained. Reports were delayed. Departments began calling Daniel directly. I thought Ryan was handling this. He can't answer basic operational questions. Where's Amanda? Daniel found himself doing something he had never imagined. He picked up the phone. Amanda, I need your help. She answered professionally. I'm currently supporting executive integration meetings. This is urgent. I understand. Can you come fix this? Amanda remained calm. Please submit the request through the official transition process. Before Daniel could argue, the line went dead. For the first time, he had to wait his turn. By the end of the week, the merger agreement was officially approved. Employees received invitations to a company-wide executive announcement. No one knew exactly what would be revealed. Daniel sat in the front row, exhausted. Amanda quietly entered through a side door after speaking with the executive transition team. She took a seat without acknowledging the curious looks surrounding her. The board members entered. The CEO walked to the podium. "Ladies and gentlemen," she smiled toward the entrance. "Before we begin today's merger announcement, I'd like everyone to welcome our newest Executive Director of Operations Integration." The boardroom doors opened. Every head turned. Daniel slowly stood from his chair, then froze as Amanda stepped through the doorway beside the executive leadership team. The room fell completely silent. Amanda walked beside the CEO and two executives from the acquiring company with the same calm expression she'd worn every day for the past week. Only now, everyone understood why. Daniel stared at her as though he were looking at a stranger. "No," he whispered under his breath. "That isn't possible." The CEO smiled. "Many of you already know Amanda Carter. What you may not know is that, several months ago, our merger partner recruited her to become Executive Director of Operations Integration." A ripple of stunned whispers spread across the room. Ryan slowly lowered his head. Melissa covered her mouth. Even the board members watched Daniel instead of Amanda. The CEO continued. "When merger discussions began, both companies agreed Amanda possessed the operational expertise necessary to lead the integration of every major department." Amanda stepped to the podium. "Thank you." Her voice was steady. "I accepted this position months ago." Every eye in the room shifted toward her. "I was prepared to submit my resignation after the promotion decision." Daniel's face lost what little color it still had. "But after that meeting, I chose not to." Several executives exchanged confused looks. Amanda continued. "I canceled my resignation because I knew the merger would soon become public. Remaining here allowed me to document the department's operations, ensure a smooth transition, and answer every question with facts instead of assumptions." She paused. "I wanted the truth to speak for itself." The Chief Human Resources Officer stood next. "As part of our merger review, we conducted an independent audit of management decisions across several departments." A large screen illuminated behind her. Amanda's annual performance rankings appeared, year after year. Top performer, highest operational efficiency, outstanding leadership feedback from peers, exceptional project delivery. Then another slide appeared. Daniel's written promotion evaluations. Not ready for leadership. Needs stronger executive presence. Continued development in current role. The contradiction was impossible to ignore. The HR director clicked to the final document. An internal email written by Daniel months earlier appeared on the screen. "Amanda is too valuable to lose in operations. If she gets promoted, we'll spend a year replacing her output. Better to keep developing her where she is." A collective gasp filled the room. No one needed an explanation. The email explained everything. Daniel hadn't underestimated Amanda. He had intentionally held her back because promoting her would make his own job harder. Daniel slowly stood. "I can explain." The CEO looked directly at him. "We've read every explanation. It wasn't like that. You repeatedly denied advancement to high-performing employees while assigning them management-level responsibilities without management titles or compensation." Daniel glanced around the room, searching for support. There was none. Several employees avoided looking at him. Others simply folded their arms. Then Melissa stood. "I applied for management twice." Daniel looked toward her. "You told me the department couldn't function without me." Another analyst stood. "You told me the exact same thing." A third employee spoke from the back. "So did you." One by one, employees confirmed nearly identical conversations. It wasn't an isolated decision. It was a pattern. The CEO closed her folder. Effective immediately. Daniel Mercer is relieved of all management responsibilities pending the conclusion of the ethics investigation. Security quietly approached. Daniel didn't argue. He simply picked up his briefcase. As he walked toward the exit, he passed Amanda. For a brief moment, he stopped. I was trying to protect the department. Amanda met his eyes. No, you were protecting yourself. Daniel had no response. He lowered his head and continued walking until the conference room door closed behind him. No one followed. Over the following months, the company changed in ways employees had never expected. Promotion standards became transparent. Performance reviews required measurable evidence instead of vague opinions. Leadership openings were reviewed by multiple executives instead of a single manager. Several employees who had quietly been overlooked for years finally received long-deserved promotions. Turnover dropped. Morale improved. Departments that once competed against each other began sharing knowledge instead of hoarding it. Amanda personally introduced mentorship programs designed to prepare employees for advancement, rather than keeping them in the same roles indefinitely. Whenever someone completed exceptional work, everyone knew exactly how promotions would be evaluated. No one had to wonder whether invisible politics mattered more than results. Months later, Amanda walked through the same office where she had once questioned her own worth. The atmosphere felt completely different. Ryan approached her office carrying a proposal. I wanted to thank you. Amanda looked up from her desk. For what? You could have come back looking for revenge. She smiled. Revenge doesn't build great teams. He nodded. I've learned more about leadership in 3 months under you than I did in years. After he left, Amanda looked through the glass wall toward the department she once believed she would never lead. She remembered sitting in Daniel's office, hearing the words that had nearly convinced her she wasn't enough. Now she understood something she hadn't realized that day. Daniel never doubted her ability. He feared what would happen the moment someone else recognized it. Amanda closed her laptop, switched off the office lights, and headed home knowing she would never again allow someone else's limitations to define her future. The promotion Daniel denied became meaningless the day Amanda stopped asking for his approval and started leading the company that replaced him.